Also wants to be out because it's such a nice weather.
I have Tammy Coons,
Here.
Jill Gus,
Absent.
Carrie Brown,
Absent for now.
Stephanie Cross,
Here.
Tejas Roddick,
Here.
Benita Picasso,
Here.
Shani Starr,
Here.
Devaya Music,
Absent.
Laura Reed.
Here.
Awesome. Thank you, Dawn. So first one is approval of the minutes. We had quite a long meeting in April. Hopefully folks had a chance to read the meeting minutes. Anyone has any comments, edits, questions?
I vote that we accept the minutes as written.
Call the roll. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, meeting minutes are passed. I'm liking this thing. Yes,
I will probably abstain just because I wasn't there.
Okay.
They looked great, but I didn't know
Sure.
that they reflected what the fact.
perfect.
Yep, thanks.
We'll have appearance of interested citizens. No? Okay. So let's go to the next one, which is committee members' report. So we had an action item, which was to look at all the documents submitted by Tammy and think through, go through what we liked about it, maybe some of the things we may want to adopt and bring it here as we work and we look into our model and our equity lenses and asks from the mayor about, what should we do in terms of expanding our engagement and engaging with the neighborhood association. So, hey, good evening. So I will start, anyone wants to add anything that they thought was interesting and they wanted to highlight, or this could also be a brainstorm of things that, oftentimes we'll find documents and references and we'll be like, oh, that is a good thing for this, or this is, I like the way they put this, and kind of shape the engagement piece. Anyone?
So I liked on page 13 of our packet, the community engagement should be part of our cornerstone as well as the last sentence of the intro.
So page 13 of the packet is this packet. So it's the Clackamas reference, the Clackamas Clackamas County Community Engagement Framework. And which one are you referring, the core beliefs or the guiding principles?
Starting with the intro, community engagement is the cornerstone of a successful public process. I really like how that's worded.
Yep.
And I think that kind of goes to what we, all of us as a group, feel. And then the guiding principles, I really liked how they're formed and how they act as part of the guidepost for the framework.
Anyone else had some things they wanted to bring up or highlight?
Well, with that same one, I really liked how they did the engagement tools and listed
Email,
emails
website.
and the benefits and the not so much benefits. So I thought that would be helpful for us since it's already done.
Yes, and it has all different levels, right? So if it's inform, if it's consult, if it's collaborate, or if it is empower. I really liked that model. I think it was the IAP 2, which also Lisa referenced from ODOT. So I think that that's, again, that's best practices that we could use there. I also had that for the community engagement. I said builds lasting relationships, trust, and it's the same, it's just a follow-up sentence. Trust and transparency, and achieves deep understanding of the lived experiences of those who live and work in the community we serve. I've never had thought about people that work here as well, so that kind of helped expand, again, not just live here, but work here. I don't know where I got it, so it's in that paragraph as well, but it says successful community engagement involves people in the decisions that affect them and about what matters to them most. So I have I heard this once from a GARE, which is Government Alliance of Race and Equity Group, and I really like, which I think maybe we can add for our, as part of our equity lenses as we're starting to kind of brainstorm, is this saying that says, nothing about us without us, that we shouldn't make decisions about the groups without representation from the groups involved in the decision-making process, which I think it's kind of what this is saying, like it's important that we get that.
Yeah, I like that as well.
I think I love to facilitate open, honest, and meaningful dialogue and be transparent with decision-making. I think those two from the 5 guiding principles were the ones that kind of really stood out to me. So maybe we can highlight this as we start thinking about our equity lenses. That look good for everybody? Okay. All right. So should we, community reports? Move on to the next one, or do we want to talk about neighborhood association meetings as a report out and then also assigned which one? I asked Dawn to add which ones we should attend, so we can have more of a systematic approach to them, so that we can make sure that we cover all of them and establish reports. So do we want to start there, or do we want to talk about what happened last month?
Can we cover a little bit on page 16 where it talks about the community engagement plan? Because I really loved how some of that's worded.
Okay.
I do not like the word stakeholder in any of it,
Yep, okay.
but I like the overall outlook
Okay.
of how it can maybe help us guide in what we do.
Okay, so we'll also add this as part of our homework and where we want to add language. Oh, awesome, thank you, Dawn.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, is that it? Do we want to talk about neighborhood meeting reports? Anyone had a chance to attend?
I did not do anything for the past month. I was in and out of the hospital, so
Okay.
I am clueless.
Okay. I attended one, but to my benefit, or maybe not, it was a combined one. It was the Neighborhood Association joint meeting on April 11th, where we had the presentations from the candidates that are running. And so, yes, Councilor Starr.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This wasn't, this came from the work session. I believe it was the work session, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Wood, but with the neighborhoods, or neighborhood associations that they had with the city council. And I think that was the meeting, but I could be mistaken. But the Southeast Kaiser Neighborhood Association and their chair, Mr. Gerloff, asked for support in translation services.
Okay.
And not necessarily that it's, I think something, as I thought about that request, maybe some suggestions that come from CDEC for, kind of two things that have kind of bubbled to the top for me. Suggestions for neighborhood associations in increasing engagement and from the entire boundaries of their neighborhood. But number two, maybe some suggestions on, and this doesn't just go for neighborhood associations, but suggestions on maybe from this committee about when it comes to translation services, do we believe it needs to be, or do we feel that it needs to be paid professional translation services? Or do we suggest that it could be voluntary translation services, just to help start building out that engagement piece? Maybe some resources or ways that the neighborhood associations could ask for that from their boundary areas, or maybe it could be a request for volunteer translators from this committee, not meaning from us here, but this committee making that request out to the community for volunteers that might be willing to help the neighborhood associations translate. Thank you so much, Mr. Wood. I don't feel like I'm in a microphone and a megaphone all at the same time. But just thinking about what can this committee do to support that request that was specifically made by Southeast Kaiser.
I really like the idea of seeking volunteers for that to happen, but I also know that that might not be the best way to go about it. Maybe outreach through the schools, since we don't meet through this summer. We usually take June, July, and August off.
So I was thinking of the same lines. I think when you are outputting information to the community, you have to be cautious in the delivery of what is it that you're putting out there, right? But I also do think, I also know that it's tied to cost. So how do we assist without breaking the bank or not able to do it, right?
Yep.
And so I think volunteer is good, but like you said, I think when I think of translation, I think of high schools where they have Spanish classes or English classes, and that could be a project that schools can integrate as far as civic, not only civic, but for those classes, translating information really assists. It's a double win, right? So you learn by reading and translating. So you're in a second language ESOL class, whether it is Spanish to English or English to Spanish, and you learn the language better because you learn grammar in that sense. You learn communication in that sense, how to communicate in a formal way, and then you're helping with that translation. Does it make sense? Is it translating in all forms? So I think it would be something that we can reach out to schools and see if that's an interest. I mean, I don't know the curriculum. I don't know what schools have, but I know that in the past, a very long time ago, when we didn't have Google the way that we have it now, we did that for communities, for our community. Like our class would get together and we would do translation, and it helped a lot.
So that's one solution. Is the city, Mr. Wood, is the city available to help with that as well? I know that there's some, we have some employees that help with translation for city services.
We do have a handful of employees that do interpreting kind of services. It would require us to pay overtime for them to go to additional meetings, so that would be the challenge that we would face.
Okay.
Not that that's not insurmountable, but I do like the idea of at least first reaching out to the school district and seeing, maybe some of the folks need some volunteer hours, and this would be a way to help them achieve that objective.
What about, oh, go ahead, Carrie.
Okay, I have a couple thoughts. And when you do translation services, I would expect that the translation be accurate. There are many places that use translators, and those translators usually sometimes they have to have special training, like in healthcare or the legal community. And even if the neighborhood associations are not that intricate, you still need accurate translation. And my experience in the high schools with the kids, if you're talking about kids helping to do translations, even the kids who are in the advanced, let's say, Spanish classes, they are not fluent enough to do on the spot translation. It is very difficult to do a good, accurate translation, and that's just.
So I don't know if it's on the spot. Like it wouldn't be on the spot. It would be like, here's the documents, and it would be a translation. And you are correct. Healthcare, it is more critical. You do want to have a little bit more training. You have some level of intricacies in a different setting, government setting, for another example. And there is a right and wrong, but it's not, and we're not going to catch it 100%, but what we're looking for is translations that will cause insults to the other language, right? So the translation, if we use Google, we do run across that. I mean, I just did that with employment department. So we run across with translating in Google, and then it comes back, and there's words that is offensive because of the translation is not done correctly. So what we're looking for is how do we catch those words and we translate to we either eliminate because the word doesn't exist, or we translate to something that is close to or is the meaning of. But it wouldn't be on the spot. It would be like, here's,
Some time and
yep,
some additional eyes and things
Yep.
like that, yeah, okay.
I think part of that, though, is Ken is looking for somebody that can attend his meetings and translate on the spot, so to speak, because I know that Jackie and I have run across the same thing in a couple of our meetings where we really needed to have somebody translate when we're meeting at Starbucks or whatever, so that everybody's on the same page. And maybe we can reach out to Shemeketa for some support in that.
but I think on the spot, that's a little bit more of there's got to be more organizational on scheduling and preparation. It has to be like a time length because you are asking for volunteers. It's not like you clap two times and someone shows up, right, and translates
Right.
for you. So there's got to be a little bit more of that. I was thinking more like documentation, so I apologize if I misinterpret that.
Okay, yeah, I was not thinking about documentation. I was thinking about just the actual meetings, you know, where you have people attending who need assistance in translation services. That's what I thought we were looking for.
If that's what it was, I misunderstood.
Counselor?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So it seems to me that there are various levels of this. You know, and I'm thinking of the you know, neighborhood association meetings that are Tammy and Jackie and me, and you know, Southeast kind of the same thing. And this is a tremendous investment. And it's a chicken and the egg kind of thing. You know, if we don't have them, they don't show up. If we don't, yeah, and I get that. But perhaps we could start by making the printed materials available in a variety of languages. I'm looking at our city website, and they've got the Google option, how you want to see the website for 10 or so more languages. So if we can somehow get those printed materials at least translated, and even, and yes, Carrie's absolutely right in terms of the, you know, the precision, but you know, for most neighborhood transactions, you know, Google is probably fine. And again, we can kind of ramp this up. You know, the more responsive we are to people's language needs, the more they will come to meetings and the more demand we would have for an interpreter. So maybe if we can somehow, and I know that this is also part of what we've talked about here, is how do we make those neighborhood association materials available to everybody? Because right now they're on Nextdoor, they're on Facebook, they're on, you know, a variety of platforms. And so if we could all somehow get those, and you know, this is a technology that's kind of beyond me, but if we can somehow get those all linked to the city website and therefore have those, you know, that translation available, that's at least a step in the right direction. Because we, right now, you know, with the level of attendance that we get at most meetings, it wouldn't make sense to have translators there.
I think, like you said, it's a start, and we can ask it here and have, I love the idea of the schools in Temecula, because I think that's building community and it's building engagement and it's other things that we can ask them for help and input and all of it. I think then the word will get out, and hopefully there are members of that community and of that neighborhood association that speak the language and can start attending because they want to be involved and part of it. So again, it's that win-win. We had talked a little bit about assigning folks to attend the meetings, so we would have it organized. I am seeing that they don't meet most of them. Three out of the 5 don't meet in June, July, and August, so for the next 3 months. So maybe, and we have their contact information, maybe we could ask them to come and attend our next meeting, our June meeting, and have a little bit of a open forum with like, how would it help? What would you like? So then we can have a little bit of a brainstorm.
I have a question.
Yes.
Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Of the 5 neighborhood associations, and maybe Tammy, you can, shed some light. Which ones would be most in need of translation? Yours, you mentioned.
I
right?
know Ken has asked me several times if I knew how to get a translator involved with his meeting. He actually has people that show up that don't understand fully because they're not bilingual.
Are you
But
talking
they
about
do-
the Southeast?
Southeast
that
Kaiser
one?
Neighborhood Association.
Okay.
They
So that one.
definitely need the support.
Okay,
Jackie and I do fairly well, and if I don't know something, I just open my phone and have them say it, and Google translates for me. And
do any
and that,
of the other neighborhood associations experience similar needs?
And are we talking about Spanish?
Chris, can I put you on the spot? Do you need translations for anything? Cause I don't know about Hirsch for Northwest Kaiser. And I
your-
don't really
yours
know about Patty. I haven't been to one of Patty's in a couple of months.
I'm the liaison to that one, and it hasn't been needed.
Okay. So, based on that information, I can volunteer to attend yours.
Perfect.
I'm not sure that I can attend every single one of them.
Well, and sometimes they will coincide too, so that's the thing. Like today, they wouldn't have coincided because we moved the meeting, but we meet on the first Thursday, so that's, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, Ken's meeting is the same time that we
are
meet.
yeah.
So for any of us to attend, that would be a little
yeah.
difficult.
Unless we moved it like we did this time on occasion, not always, right? But Mr. Wood, you were gonna say.
One thing, this is obviously not going to be a perfect solution. This would be maybe a starting point, but maybe the recommendation to the neighborhood associations, similar to our committee meetings and city council meetings, when you do a notice of the meeting, put in somewhere a byline, if you need translation services, please let us know ahead of time. And that way, we can make sure that we can get someone there if someone needs to be there. So maybe that's, like I say, it's not a perfect recommendation, but at least it's a first step forward.
And just to clarify the language that they need a translation, because
Correct,
I
yeah.
show up to speak Spanish and they don't need Spanish.
That'd be bad news.
That would be bad.
And I think also that is, I know we're talking a little bit about this, but it is also part of our equity lenses, right? It could be request accommodations if you don't have them. So what are the accommodations that you're requesting? That's part of that equity lenses that, we can talk about. So, okay.
It may also play well if there's a certain topic coming up that we know is going to be controversial, that would make sure that we have resources available. We need to have something very controversial, at the city level to force out to you folks that really draws people in. We're going to close all the parks or something like that.
Okay, so Carrie, can we put you down for that one when schedules allow? So obviously, we're not gonna say you attend that one and don't attend this meeting, but when they don't overlap. Okay, the second Tuesday, Greater Gubzer, anybody? Anybody that lives in Gubzer that, okay, do you wanna attend that one?
I
Oh, no.
already do.
Okay.
My assignments are north, east, and west.
Okay, Laura. Will they continue?
At least to the end of the year.
Okay. And Tammy, you are president of the Southeast? No,
Greater
Greater
Northeast.
Northeast, okay.
I can,
So which one is it that you need translation at, the
Southeast.
Greater Northeast or the Southeast?
Southeast.
Southeast is
that's
what
what-
needs it the most at the moment.
I see.
Or Ken, yes. I have their names, that was the other piece. Maybe we can put their president's name.
Okay.
I can attend Northwest Kaiser when I'm not, wait, traffic changed their day to Wednesday.
The 15th for May, but they're going to be going back to the third Thursday in June.
Okay. I can attend Northwest Kaiser meetings at least every other month.
Okay.
And I could.
And I normally attend West Kaiser, but it's tonight.
The
so I
Northwest.
won't.
Northwest or northeast? Which one would you like?
Northwest.
Okay, so Stephanie, Tammy and Stephanie. I could take West Kaiser. I'll think with you, Laura. Which one would you like? Where do you live? Do you have one that you, oh. So which neighborhood is that one? Sorry. Showing my ignorance.
I'm in the same.
Okay. Which neighborhood association are we in?
I would go into the
Greater Northeast.
I don't even know which one I'm
Kennedy,
in.
no? Like the Kennedy side of it?
Laura, which
I'll
one are
take
we
that
in?
one.
Are we in?
There is no, not that far away.
I didn't think so.
No. We got a
'Cause I
pass.
never hear about it.
I know.
There are HOAs up there in various pockets. There aren't any.
Okay, so I haven't missed out on any.
Okay, so we have to have someone to go with Grubser, but maybe we leave that open for Jill and Nevaeh, and maybe ask them if they have a preference for assigning, because we already have one for everybody.
Which one? I do Gubser.
Yeah, so we would need another, just, yeah, okay, we don't need another person. Maybe they can choose to attend, but we have covered, and I chose,
Did you
West
choose
Kaiser.
I'm doing the Greater Northeast Kaiser.
Yes,
Greater Northeast? Okay.
yeah, and I'm doing West Kaiser with Laura.
Well, and every other month, Counselor Duran and I swap off. So there are sometimes months that I'm not there, so
But we'll be there.
if you wanted to go in those months that
Yeah.
I'm not there, whatever, we can do
Perfect.
that.
Okay, so Dawn, I'm gonna repeat it for clarification. Southeast Kaiser neighborhood will be Carrie, when that doesn't conflict with this meeting. For Greater Gubser Neighborhood Association will be Counselor Starr. West Kaiser Neighborhood Association will be myself and Counselor Reed. Northwest Kaiser Neighborhood Association will be Tammy and Stephanie. And for Greater Northeast Kaiser, Tammy is already the president, so Tammy will be there, and then Laura and Benita. Do you swap Greater as well? Okay. So maybe you can coordinate with Benita if there's some stuff that. Or we just show up and we just like, hey, we're here now. Got us. Okay, cool. Does that work for everybody? Okay. A little less chaotic than last month, trying to attend them all. But part of what the mayor asked us to do and increase that engagement. Okay, we had a good conversation. I'm gonna move, I don't know if I'm moving the agenda. I'm sorry, Dawn, I'm kind of all over the place. But we had talked about, no. Okay, hold on. Do we need to talk about any of the council report or observant recognition assignments? We have June, figure it out, right? Yes, Counselor Reed.
So, thank you, Madam Chair. So we had a wonderful presentation by Carrie and by Rabbi Perlman last meeting for this month's.
On Monday?
Yes, for last Monday. And then this coming council meeting on the 20th, we have a group of Islander girls coming to do a performance. Just
Very
a little
cool.
5-minute little deal at City Council during public comment. So I'm excited about that.
Very nice.
I also stepped in for Stephanie, by the way.
Yes, thank you. I
Yes.
appreciate it very much.
So the next one is June 3rd, and we're gonna have Nevaeh and Benita. Yes? Okay, And then the 17th will be Jill. So we're good. And then July, we don't have any.
Do we want to check in with Jill? Because she hasn't been here.
That would probably be Counselor Fuller's responsibility since he.
We can't do that directly.
I mean, you can, but it's his appointment. So if it's not working out, he would need to know that from her so they can have that
Okay.
conversation.
Okay. Because I figured I'd just call her at the chamber and find out if she was gonna present.
Okay.
but I will not.
Okay, I will send her an email and ask. I'll copy Dawn.
She hasn't been here.
I would like to bring up something
Yes, Carrie?
about the June observance for LGBTQ month. I've been approached by a couple of people, and I know that this was I wasn't here when it happened, but it was kind of a controversial item when somebody wanted to display the LGBTQ flag out here. Like I said, I wasn't here when that happened, but I understand that it caused some disagreements. And so a couple people have asked me if I could bring that up at this committee, whether we could do that, at least for the observance of the June.
The city has a formal process for that. It has to go through the city council, so a city council member would have to bring that up directly during their meeting. So even as an advisor, I guess we could advise the city council to consider it, but someone would have to approach the city councilor directly to make that request. We do have a formal ordinance a resolution on the books related to that whole process. And I can print that out and have that distributed, sent out to you folks, just so you can see what the formal process is.
Either one of you would?
Well, I can give some context for that, because I. But basically, it came out, and the result of that is that reason. So it was, the concern is if we're gonna fly the pride flag, then where does that stop in terms of free speech? And so that was one of the main reasons that it didn't go through, is because people were wondering, well, if we fly this flag, then we're gonna have to fly all of these other flags, and where does it begin and end? Hence the resolution of, being brought up by Councilor. And I suspect that we would have much the same resistance on the council level, just in terms of the same issue.
Could we perhaps ask for the month of June, since we are recognizing it in the meeting and with a proclamation?
Can ask, for sure. Again, just based on the conversation last time, I would kind of doubt that would go through.
Okay.
But,
I mean, I think.
What does the ordinance say? I'm sorry. That it has to. That it has to be brought up by a city council member and voted by the city council members?
I believe that's
how it's worded?
correct, yeah. And again, it was to avoid the, if we have to do it for one group, or if we do it for one group, we have to do it for all the groups, so the freedom,
Being partisan towards one or the
correct.
other.
And I can't remember the exact wording, so I don't want to lead you folks, but it was something that a city council member could bring it up if they so choose, but they really couldn't be approached by different groups or something, so.
So, but, and I see you run, so I'll come back to you, but technically it could also be something that, for instance, when we're doing in November and we wanted to do something for Veterans Day, we could ask that all the armed forces flags could be also shown during that time, right?
Potentially, sure.
Correctly, okay.
Just a clarifying question, does that have to follow the 3-counselor rule of bringing it forward?
I believe so.
Rhonda? Chris?
Chris, come to the microphone.
This may not really mean too much, but being from the LGBTQ community, I have no problem with the city not flying the flag because like everyone is saying, you have to start displaying for everybody and that would get spendy and almost kind of just overwhelming in one sense. So I understand where some of the controversy obviously came from, but just my single opinion on the matter.
Thank you. We could also, on that day, ask representatives of the LGBTQ community to attend the meeting. I mean, there's, what is it? There's OUT, Oregon, I think. There is there's a queer center in Portland. I'm not sure, but again, to your point, you know, if we don't have representation, I think that's often what people don't see or understand. But if we are doing a proclamation that day, we could invite them. Just like we had, I invited NAACP and they were busy and didn't come, but they were invited when the mayor did the proclamation. You think that that would be something that we could extend an invitation?
Well, yeah, I mean, that would be good to extend an invitation. I am not a member of the LGBTQ community, but I support members of the LGBTQ community. And I know, and I have not gone to every high school in SK, in Salem Kaiser, but last year I worked at West Salem High School, and they have an LGBTQ flag prominently displayed in the counseling center. And I know that various cities, and this has been talked about, I think back when there was a controversy, that there are agencies and cities and government buildings that display the LGBTQ flag. And they have not seen any, backlash. So I guess it is in this milieu, in this city, that the controversy exists. And that's just me looking at, from afar and how I view it. You know, there's pushback in this community, and there's pushback by certain folks, and they will use the excuse that if we do this flag, then where does it stop? It hasn't affected other communities where they have displayed the LGBTQ flag, and I can speak for myself. You know, I represent a couple of ethnic and cultural backgrounds, and I would not, expect this city or any school to display the Chinese flag or the Cuban flag or the Mexican flag, but it has, or any other flag that identifies with a particular country. So anyway, that's just my viewpoint, is that it hasn't caused a problem elsewhere. It causes a problem in this community.
I did a quick search and I was able to find the resolution. So it's actually from 2022. And it specifically says the city's flagpoles are not a forum for free expression by the public. A ceremonial or commemorative flag shall be displayed as an expression of the city officials' sentiments as determined in the sole discretion of the council. A request to display a commemorative or ceremonial flag must be presented by at least 3 members of the city council in order to be placed on the city council's meeting agenda for consideration by the council. So that would be the process. If we're able to find 3 councilors that are interested in doing that, it could become an agenda item. It does go on to say that the city will not display a commemorative or ceremonial flag based upon the request of a third party. So it's really, the intent was, this is an expression of the city council itself. It's not necessarily an expression of of any groups or the community. So this is just the council expressing themselves. So that would be the next step if we wanted to move forward with something like that.
Yeah, so if you can send us a copy of that
Yep,
ordinance.
absolutely.
It would be helpful to see it.
So is that only for the flagpoles outside, or is it prohibit displaying them inside City Hall?
That's a good question.
Yeah, that is a good question. I believe this is centered on the flagpoles outside.
I hear you, Carrie. I think my concern, and I'm not a member of the LGBTQ community, so not a member, but I do attend one of my safe places, one of the places I love to go, is a CrossFit gym in Salem called Catalyst Community Fitness, and they're one of the only gyms that are affiliated with the OUT community and OUT organization, and you see the flags displayed everywhere. I know I'm welcome there. My concern is if we pass and we have the flag, but then, and people think it's a welcoming place and then it isn't, because it wasn't, fully embraced. What harm could that create? And I hear what you're saying. So that's the part where I'm like, I would love it if it passed, but it has to pass for it to be displayed, because that's the invitation of this place is safe.
Well, and I think if it was inside, though, not that many people
Agree.
probably from any of the different kinds of communities we have actually come in here, I would think, because I never came here until I got appointed. So, that's one baby step
Yeah, agree.
forward.
Mhm.
And it's not, the whole town won't see
Yes,
it.
and it's still welcoming as folks
Yes.
come in and visit City Hall. Yep,
Yeah.
I agree. Councilor Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Who develops the displays out here where we put the proclamations? Thank you.
Oh, the poster boards? Isn't that?
Yeah, like out here.
It's the
Dawn.
city recorder
Dawn?
department.
Good job.
Good job.
Thanks.
So, do we have someone that's gonna take it to the next? It would have to be the next meetings if we're gonna have it for June, right?
But it would have to have 3, right? So it's not just one?
Can I
Councilor
ask?
Starr? Yeah.
I just have a follow-up question. Are you given direction on that, or do you have to seek approval on those displays? Or do you have what am I looking for? Creative.
Creative freedom.
Thank you. I need to eat dinner because I'm getting loopy, but thank you. Yes, that is what I'm asking.
Creative freedom. Thank you. And I am following suit with what Debbie had done. And once the mayor says her proclamations and signs them at the council meetings, then I frame them and place them in there for the month, and then I just replace them with the next month's observances. And then with the Arts Commission, if they vote on having something placed in that arts display, in that glass display, then I'll take out some of the stuff that's not real relevant for that time and put it in the back room until the art stuff is served its time.
But you get to create and put the information that's on the poster board, maybe partnered with the proclamation and so forth. That's like when I think about what was on April, like you had some information about Child Abuse Prevention Month. And so you have the opportunity to create a display as you see appropriate. Thank you.
Awesome. So we can put a request for the counselors, is that the process? Okay.
I mean, I'm not going to speak for, yeah, so we'll ask.
I can send Robert a text tonight. Okay. He's the one that sponsored me, so I guess I can ask. Okay, cool. All right. All good? Any other comments? Okay, good. So let's talk where we left off, which was, I know, and now we have to go to the meeting minutes, but if members of this committee should be appointed by the counselors, or if it should be by the volunteer coordinating committee. And I think we were getting to some good place. We left where, it's about who you know if it's appointed by the counselor. The volunteer coordinating committee, people are putting forth their applications, so they're reviewing it. So there's a little bit of a less of that who you know and how you know. So we're restarting the conversation there. I think some sort of middle ground would be the best solution, but I'm not sure what that would look like. I don't know if it's they come forth with the volunteer coordinating committee and we help them if they are dwindled down to a certain number of candidates and they can't make the decision, we can advise. But I don't think we as a committee should have a formal role of, no, you're not cool enough, and yes, I like, what you bring to the table. I think there's a little bit of that impartiality that I think we need to keep as we're being replaced and the committee is continuing.
I also like the partnership idea, working with the volunteer committee. But I'm leaning more towards the volunteer committee.
Okay. Others? Discussion? I know it was like last month, but it seems like it was 3 months ago. Sorry, Laura. You missed quite a meeting. Benita, we had some good discussion at the end too, and I'm missing Nevaeh because Nevaeh has some really good points too about bringing folks that don't always agree with us and how important that is for the public discourse.
Well, the discussion was guided more towards if we are going to be an action committee, or if it's going to be, I think the conversation was more like the reason why we have a disengagement in so many changes within that committee is the lack of action. And so we seem to be always in a turnover cycle.
And onboarding.
And onboarding, absolutely. So I think it's more like finding, from my experience in the council that I also serve for my work, it's finding someone that you want it to have not only a want to serve, but a small knowledge of what they're getting themselves into, right? So they don't have to be experts at all, but understand the commitment and the work that it's being assigned or being given. So that was a conversation that I think Nevaeh and I were having, where, she has another perspective, like the raw, it doesn't matter if they have no experience, which I understand, I totally understand. But I think if we want to start making movements and actions, then we, in my opinion, that works a little bit better.
So what if we propose that it is a volunteer coordinating committee and they bring the candidates here, they bring a little bit about who they are, and we have a conversation about what our input is, and then they can take that input into advisement or not as they make their decision. But there is a little bit of that, again, that collaboration with another committee. They are independent and they make the decision, but they get our input on who the candidates and what they would bring to the committee. How does that sound?
I like that idea.
Councilor Starr and then Councilor Reed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm looking at our experts, subject matter experts to my right. Do we have to, obviously that would require a change, I believe, in the charter or something in relation to this committee and how people are appointed and placed on this committee. Would that require, which obviously the city council would have to do, would that same thing be required in the VCC process, charter, or whatever? You know what I'm talking about, like.
Here to get some collaboration?
Yeah.
Yeah, the task and purpose lays out, how the committee members are picked for this group. And each of the different committees has the same kind of thing written into it. I don't think that would necessarily impact the VCC unless there's something specific that we wanted them to do. Just kind of talking out loud, maybe what would be helpful is if this group kind of put together a job description or the criteria for which to look at a candidate. So, I'm just thinking of time-wise of if we get volunteer applications in, the VCC does their magic, then they come back to here, then it goes back to the VCC, then finally back to the city council. That could be a 3 to 4 month long process.
Okay.
And I think that would be somewhat prohibitive of getting volunteers in. So
follow-up? Thank you, Madam Mayor. Or Madam Chair, thank you. Should we get legal counsel on changing that process? Because if we change it for one committee, but we don't change the process for all the others, I just want to make sure that we're not going to be misstepping anywhere.
Sure, that's a good point, and I would absolutely bring the legal folks in on this when we get to that point. So this committee is it is the only committee that's slightly different as far as the process goes right now, from what I understand. So if we were to do something and move more in line with what all the other committees are doing, I think the legal folks would be really at ease with that, because it's, one size fits all.
But the
yeah.
piece of bringing them here before this committee
Correct.
for, quote, interview is different than the process that all the other committees have to go through. And that's what I'm looking for clarity on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
You're absolutely right.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Counselor Reed?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I guess I need to get my own head wrapped around this. So there are a couple of options here. We could just have like a job description of this is the kind of person that we're looking for at hand, which is a lot less formal than, and I guess I'm not quite sure what you mean by having the volunteer coordinating committee come before this committee. Or is that like a one-time deal, or is that when you have?
When we have opens and we have applicants. And
So
they
you'd have the volunteer and not the applicants? Oh,
No, I hadn't, I was thinking the volunteer committee comes here and talks about, these are the folks that applied. We don't have to bring the candidates, because I think that's quite, this isn't Miss USA, it's quite it shouldn't be that process, right? But they can bring in here and they say, okay, these are the folks that applied, what their background is, and maybe they don't even say names, because again, we're trying to be as transparent about capabilities versus, I like this person, I don't like this person. It could be candidate A, candidate B. Their background is this, their background is that. What are your thoughts? And if we have, if we have as many opens as we have volunteer applications, maybe we don't have to choose. But we just provide input as to what would be good for our current makeup. So I need someone with a legal background, I need someone with a community background. And then they make the decision. They're only coming here as an input collaboration, we're not decision makers.
so the whole committee?
We could make a standing item. Benita?
Okay, so I guess that's what my question is would it, and you from what you're saying as far as we need different people at different times, that kind of is a little bit more complicated, but if we had just a job description of this is what we'd like to see in a member of this committee, because I think that, if we get down in the dirt, in the details of we want this kind of person,
Yeah.
we may have, 2 or 3 applicants is all, and so it seems to me that it would be far more efficient. And then maybe, if one of us could present to the volunteer coordinating committee to explain that, one pager or whatever, to be able to say, okay, this is why this committee is, and it's the newest committee too, and so it's, it's different than like the planning committee where you have to have specific kinds of people. That's its own unique committee in its own way, and so if we were to, I'm going to say educate, the volunteer committee on what we are looking for and those I think that would be far more efficient.
Or maybe not what we are looking for, but like questions that they can
Ask.
bring forward to them, to the volunteers, potential volunteers, and saying, I don't know, ask those questions and have them like a writing response that they can analyze, because I think it tells a lot about,
Yeah.
what the vision is, and
But they analyze, not us.
correct.
Okay, agree. Yes, Counselor Starr.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, I think I am on board with like the job description for lack of,
rubric.
yeah, but for lack of a better word. But I still have concern about now if you're having written out, you're having questions that you want a written response to. That's different. It would be a different application, right? So again, I just go back to, I want to make sure that we're not automatically eliminating people right off the top if we're asking for written responses to questions. And I would want to make sure what does that look like for the process for the other committees? Right, like I just want us to make sure that we're asking those questions and not making any missteps.
I feel like we're circling back full circle to the very beginning. Originally, we started to build some of our organizational documents off of the city of Wilsonville. And they have an application specific to this committee. Then they have kind of a scoring rubric. So maybe it might be worth our time if I send that out as well. And we can kind of just do a refresher and see if something like this would make sense.
We wouldn't be scoring it, right?
No, no, it would
We
be,
create the documents and then,
Correct.
again, because it's that part about, it should be separation of church and
Correct.
state. They go and they decide, and then they send it, yep.
I would envision this as something that we would give to the volunteer committee. And as they go through their process, they can look at this. And I have it pulled up, and, one of the first questions is personal, professional, volunteer background or perspective you would bring to the committee. How do you describe diversity and equity?
Perfect.
A few of those kind of questions. And I don't,
We don't even ask questions, really. Sorry. We don't even really ask questions specific to the other committees on our volunteer application.
But looking at the meeting minutes from the other committees, and I'm not saying this to kind of toot our own horns, we do a lot more work in this committee in reading, discussing background than some of the other committees do.
And I also think that this committee has an importance that we need to make sure that we have.
Momentum.
It's those questions, they sound so simple, but they speak loud, right? How they answer. So I think that's a good option.
but Counselor Starr is right on that we will need legal advice on this one, for
Can
sure.
we, I know you're getting ready, should we vote on it, or is that a recommendation we
Can
can
we
bring?
just add that to the packet for next
No,
month?
I don't think so. Do we need to vote to bring it to the,
No.
no? Okay.
Oh, sorry, no, I was answering Counselor Reed's question. You asked about a quorum.
Do you need me for a quorum if we do need votes?
You have 6.
So, no, we'd have a quorum without, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Have fun. Yes. So, no, I know. And last time, we made sure you got out on time, so I also want to honor Chair,
So we can take a two-path approach. I can take these documents and say, okay, legal, give me your preliminary. This is probably not going to be the final. Let's see if this is even a viable process. And then I can send them out to you folks as well, and then we can review them and discuss at the next
Yes.
meeting. Is that?
yeah, and then if we agree and everything is kosher, we can send that to the mayor, and so that's our recommendation for these documents, and it goes to the volunteer coordinating committee to review.
So it would go to, because it does have to go to council for approval
It
in
would,
order
yes.
to be incorporated into VCC, yes?
Yes,
Okay, perfect.
absolutely.
Cool. I think that's good.
Just for clarification, so if we are going to follow a different process, does that mean that it takes the counselor out of the process?
Correct.
Or they will no longer be
Correct.
nominating
Correct.
someone themselves?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yep.
That's number one. Number two, so are we still going to have 2 council members to be a part of this committee?
That's a good question. We should.
think we should.
Yeah, I mean, I
think we
I
should.
think,
The mayor
I think it should
appointed-
be. So were you guys appointed by the mayor?
Yeah, I think that's good. That should stay.
Okay.
And we would phase out as our terms phase out, then the counselors don't appoint us, we go through the VCC.
So I just want to so it's going to take, I think it might take a while because we also
sure.
have the council that would have to redo, was that an ordinance or a resolution and how it went through?
I believe it's a resolution.
Resolution of the process and the committee. So they would have to redo that and that would have to go through a rewrite. Just making sure there's setting expectations. This will not be
Fast.
next.
Yeah, it's
month.
not going to be a quick.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Cool. But it's one item we can check off our list, hopefully, that the mayor asked us to do. Done. I'm a checklist person. Okay. Do we want to call it the order, or do we want to get started on equity lenses at 7 o'clock?
Madam Chair, where are we on the agenda? Because
Good question.
we didn't do minutes yet.
We did. That was the first
We
thing we
did?
did. Yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry. See, I need to eat.
Is that a quiz?
Sorry.
Is that a quiz?
I'm checking to see how. Sorry, you're right. We did now that you say that. I'm sorry.
So I like the equity lens on the back.
Okay, so I'm gonna do this because I think we're on a roll. I'm gonna give you homework because we got all the neighborhood associations on the book. We got the VCC on the book, so 2 out of the 4. Homework, take a look at the equity lenses. Take a look at the equity lens at the back from Portland Police Bureau. Take a look at the equity lenses from ODOT and the materials that Lisa brought last meeting. Let's start talking about what they look like for us. I love the Clackamas piece about we won't make decisions without involving the community members that the decisions are about. That could be one of the, and I don't know that we're wording it as nicely as that, but that is the spirit, is, you know, to your point about the park, when we did park and we did ADA, did we consult with someone from ADA, from, you know, Adventures Without Limits, or folks that are utilizing the outdoor and have mobility impairments? Did we consult with them? Because if we didn't, we should have. Now we know, let's do better. So again, those are simple things, but they will make a big impact.
Can we also take a look at the City of Eugene stuff in
Yeah.
the back of the packet next month a little closer?
Yeah, and please call out what you love about it next month,
Okay.
so that we can start, again, I almost wish that Laura's gonna cry. We need a whiteboard, because we need to do a brainstorming, and it's,
I can bring one next time.
okay, cool.
I'll just make it,
We might, I'm like, I wanna go right, and I can't go right.
we can make it standard for all of our meetings if that would be helpful.
Not for all, but for the next one for sure. So, I don't wanna give you more homework either, but the next one would be nice to have a whiteboard.
I do want to say the website, City of Kaiser website, from my last experience to this one, it's a lot of improvement. I do feel like that is an opportunity as well for committees to provide information such as, I know we participate on a monthly observance, so maybe more of educational pagers, one-pagers that we can do regarding this, that it's communicating to the city. So someone can choose to go into diversity and inclusion, or whatever you want to call it, and we would have those one-pagers on there. That would also try to invite and engage people, and it could be educational. I know last month we had Autism Month, and there was a lot of resources that were provided in the one-pagers that we sent out. So it's not just we want to talk about race, sex, background. It's more like resources that are available within that community that can be of a service to everyone, regardless of your background, regardless of your position, right? So how do we cater to that? And I thought that was a great opportunity. When I looked at it, it's a big improvement. So whoever did that, was that you, Tim?
Yes.
You did an awesome job. Was it Dawn?
Dawn.
Awesome job.
Okay, I think that's it. Yes, Mr. Wood?
I have one item to add on, just to get your brains flowing. The Latino Business Alliance is going to be having their annual Expo Negotio here again. As a sponsor of that event, the City of Kaiser does get a table.
Is that in November again?
It is in November 14th. We'll have a vendor table, but I think we also get a table at their luncheon as well.
And are we having materials translated?
That is the million-dollar question that I have.
Oh,
for
no,
you
that's not
folks.
going to cost $1 million. We're going to get it for you cheaper, but are we having it translated or not?
We will have everything that we put out there translated. My question really is, how much involvement does this committee want to have in that whole thing? As a advisory committee, I don't know if we want to set up the display ahead of time at some point and have you critique it, or give us some feedback on messaging. What kind of things does this committee think would be important to include?
We can help, and I think we also should attend. I attended last year for a little bit, not a lot, but I think that's one that we should attend.
And if people are interested in actually standing at the booth, I mean, we could
Yeah.
work,
Yeah, for sure.
facilitate something like that as well.
Perfect. That's November 14th, correct?
November 14th, I'll bring back some more information at our next meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. All right, and I called. Are you joining us? Would you like to speak? No? Okay. All right. We're wrapping up, though. Anything else?
So I have, the neighborhood associations and the neighborhood family councils are putting together a community cafe for June 4th. It'll be here in the Iris Room from 6 to 8:30.
Okay.
And it is extended throughout parts of Salem because we have neighborhood family councils in Salem as well at 2 of our schools. And really what they're looking for is just for us to attend and help engage in the conversations. I don't have a lot of other information because I don't have the agenda yet, but I can pass this down as long as it comes back and everybody can take a photo.
Is the neighborhood associations are meeting there? Okay,
Yep.
cool.
Every neighborhood association has agreed to attend and be there. 2 of the neighborhood family councils, Kennedy will be there, and Hallman Northgate. We're still trying to get in touch with Cummings, which will be the newest Kaiser Neighborhood Family Council. And then we have Highland and Salem.
And our next meeting isn't until the 5th or 6th? The 1st is a Saturday, correct?
June 6th.
June 6th, okay, cool.
June 6th.
We haven't talked about that yet, but that's our, where am I looking at? I'm looking at the wrong agenda. We were trying to go through the items that the mayor asked us first. That's still the task list, but we had the 1, 2, 3, 4. So, and we've done, I'm gonna check, we've done with Neighborhood Association, we've gotten scheduled to visit, so that's kind of halfway through. And then, where's the VCC portion and the appointments? It was in there somewhere.
That's why I was like trying to figure out where.
Oh, here it is, it was on A, and we've got A done, sort of. I'm gonna count my winnings for now. That was the feedback we got from Tammy's,
Oh, not our equity, not our equity.
not yet, that's what we're starting to start working on. Yep,
That's our homework.
to bring, we're here so we can start going and.
Have we started developing our framework at all? Do you have anything that you can share with us that we've got for our framework?
For the equity lenses? No, and that's why the documents you brought is where we're starting. So we're gonna start piecemealing and collaging what we like, what we don't like, and then make it our own. With the knowledge that we have, so. Any other questions? Okay, I'm gonna call the meeting to order. It is 7:09. Meeting adjourned. Yeah, that was a lot.